Alright, we are back with part 2 of the original Matrix. And when I left off on part 1, I had mentioned about spelling. And I wanted to touch on this portion of the original Matrix because this has a lot to do with the subconscious grid that these words or vibrations are placed on. When you are taught is to tighten something, which means to potentially stretch it out or to cause stress, make it tighter. And when things are tighter and stressed, things do not move as freely. A ball has a harder time going through a tube that is stressed or taut as opposed to one that is the size that it is. If this was a flexible tube, you were taught to spell. What does that mean? Because this is a loop that plays directly into the spelling. Once you get taught how to spell, it loops your mind into the cursive. You don't have to spell in cursive, but there's a reason that cursive was used. There's a reason for these loops that you continually write from left to right, up to down, sentencing yourself. You don't know any of this before you are taught it. You can use words, you can speak. You probably already had the concept when you were a child that a bird is a bird, though, when it really isn't. You probably already had the concept that a rock is a rock, a tree is a tree, because that's how you were shown. You were told that this was a rock, so you believed it was. You were a child, you didn't know any better. So you were put into the spelling without ever having to spell. You were spellbound before you ever even attempted to write the letters to your name. You were already spellbound because you were taught by your parents that a pine cone is a pine cone. It is what we said it is. It's not what this is that would be in the hand. And this is where our education system focuses externally on everything instead of internally and having an inside out view on things. It's all outside in. So we look at something and we have an idea that this is the word that we were told that it is, and it's nothing more than a placeholder for us to be able to communicate and reference that product or material or organism. We should be teaching our children that nothing is what we say it is. That's what we should be teaching our children, because it's not. It's not what we say it is. It is what it is. You are not the name. Why do you think the first thing that you spell when you start spelling, even though you've already been spellbound, is your name? Because now you have been named. Now you have been locked into the spell. Once you learn to spell your name, you're in. You've been locked in. You're in the matrix. And the only way to get out is to see what you did. You locked yourself in by learning to spell your own name and believing that is your name. You locked yourself in. As parents taught their children that the name that I chose to put down on a piece of paper at the hospital and started referring to you as is what I say your name is. That means it is. That means that is what you are. You will be nothing more than that. You will be nothing more than Michelle. You will be nothing more than a Michael. You will be nothing more than Daniel. Than whatever your name may be. You'll be nothing more than a core. That's not true. That's not true. And we shouldn't be teaching our children that. That's the spelling talking. That's the matrix talking. That's what we got to get past. The truth is, you are not the name. You never were. You never will be. The tree is not a tree. It is what it is. It continues to grow and is forever changing. It is not what it was when we first seen it. It is what it is now. These are the concepts that we must always keep in mind, that we are purposely not taught and we willfully, ignorantly ignore, because these concepts of viewing existence in this way completely change everything, because nothing is what we were taught it is, and it's not. It doesn't mean you can't call a telephone pole, but it's not a telephone pole. Those are a bunch of letters and words that you decide to put together. What is a tele? What is a phone? What is a pole? Why are we using all of these letters to say that this is what this is? There's a reason to it, but it's not a telephone pole. It has to do with the T. It has to do with what the P is. It has to do with communication. There's a lot of reasons to why. It's in the symbols. It's in the imagery. There's a reason a T is a cross. It's crossing into something. There's a reason a D is a half of a circle. It is D. D. It is half of something. The day. It is, the day is only part of you. The day never ends. The day is only part of you. The D. Anything with a D is only part of it. The dismemberment. That's why it starts with a D. Mom. It starts with an M because M is a motherly energy. Every word starts with the letter it starts with because the energy that letter carries, which actually coincides with the organic frequency and vibration that whatever you are referring to actually operates on. It lines up with the color that it is. It all lines up. The color lines up with what you refer to it, that lines up with what it is, lines up with how it grows and moves, lines up with other things that are that color. Things that smell the same. Maybe things that look the same. It all has to do with each other. This is the matrix. You lose sight of how everything has to do with everything. It's part of the purpose of the matrix is to glaze over the grid so that we can see these things on top of the grid without seeing the grid that is placed within. For people who play Minecraft or other video games such as that, where you're building on a grid, if you build enough, that grid disappears and you end up with something completely different. If you Get a piece of paper, get a blank piece of paper, get a piece of paper that's a grid and start drawing on it. Draw a picture on it. The grid starts disappearing even though it's still there. Use it to do your drawing. And it'll just disappear into the background. You'll see your drawing, but your drawing is nothing more than a creation from the grid, which is the matrix. So it's using it. It has to. Which means if you make a matrix in a matrix, you have to use that original matrix. This original matrix has always been used. And currently it is being used to confuse and convolute. But it's not, because it's the same as everything. So to get back to the spelling, spell, S-P-L-L, to spell. What happens when you are in a spell? You just can't seem to get things in sorts. Things are just out of line, out of alignment. There's no organization as you would like. You seem lost. You're in this spell and you just can't seem to get out of it. Things are spilling all over. It's just that type of energy. It's just things just ain't seemingly going as they should be. And that's the purpose of spelling. If they were going how they should be, you would know that there's a grid there, that there's a matrix, and you would interact with it in a way where you can actually have directorship with it. There's nothing wrong with spelling. There's nothing wrong with magic. There's nothing wrong with writing and words and letters and languages. There's nothing inherently bad about any of these things. It's the use of it. It's the use of the spelling. You can use spelling to create magical, wonderful, completely out of this seemingly world experiences in literature, on paper. You can write down with words and express the most bountiful of environments and scenarios and events, stories, lies of deceit, murder. You can make about whatever you want in a book. That's the power of spelling. And you can put your consciousness into that book and it can just take you away. That's the power of spelling. That power is being done to you without you knowing. Now, what happens when you take that power and you start spelling things for yourself? What happens when you become the author of your own book of life? Stop letting someone else write your book. You can write your book right now as you speak. You don't need a piece of paper. Why is this guy going? They shouldn't be going. Con Global? Get yourself a journal and write down what's on your mind. And then read it. And read it a week later. You'll be transported back to whatever was on your mind then. You'll be, wow. I didn't even realize that all of this was going on then. At this moment. That's the power of spelling. Can completely transport you into another reality, into another matrix, into another position, to another point of view, perception. That is immense power. And like I said, you don't need a pen and paper to do that. You can do that all on your own. Which is why I said that you can never have your power taken away from you. The power is in the vibration of your voice. This is where it all goes back to. And the reason that that works is because the spelling is a matrix on top of it in the first place. As I was saying, with the cutting up of the breath with the tongue. The spelling is nothing than a observation of what that is and attempting to communicate and recreate what you are experiencing into another experience, and having complete creative and directorial control over that experience, whatever it may be. This manifestation, this is life. This is how you operate, whether you realize it or not. You have the control. Everything that occurs in your life is because of you, because of how you perceive things, and because of how you're going about things. It all has to do with how you're breathing. Whether it's simply your breathing, or whether it's your writing, or whether it's your typing. Maybe you're watching too many things. It all comes back to breathing, because this is the original matrix, and then we get right into the word. And this is what you must know. It starts with the word. And if you don't know that it starts with the word, you will be lost. You will be lost. Down the line somewhere. You can find yourself down the line and find your way back, but you gotta know the word. The word is the word, the bird is the bird. Because it is, not because you can write BIRD. Subscribe, 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 and like this video.